Well, we have an exciting day today. So Ford finally officially unveiled the new Raptor today, and they kind of nodded to the Raptor R, and I'll kind of get into that in today's video. And I know a lot of you have been asking me to talk about the new Raptor and all that kind of stuff. I've been waiting until Ford officially unveils it because I don't want to be making a ton of assumptions on the truck, but after Ford unveiled it, I'm still gonna have to make a ton of assumptions on the truck because they didn't give us very much information to go off of, but let's just get into all of that. So first off, if you guys haven't seen the video, just go look at it. It's on Ford's YouTube channel. It's really short. It's only like 2 or 3 minutes long, and it just shows a guy driving around the new Raptor. And basically, if you listen to the video really close, they do have some V8 sounds happening. So they are nodding a little bit to, you know, obviously the Raptor R that everyone's been talking about, the supercharged version of the Raptor that's supposed to compete against the TRX. And they also nodded off at the end of the video because they said that the new Raptor is going to be available summer of 2021, but then they said more coming 2022. So again, that's kind of them hinting at, okay, hey, the normal base Raptor is going to come soon, but if you wait a little bit longer, then we're going to have the crazy version of the Raptor released. And let's kind of get into the new Raptor now. I had to do quite a bit of research before making this video because Ford really didn't say much in the video. Again, all they did was they just had this guy wake up and drive the new Raptor around and jump it and all this kind of stuff. And it was cool. Like it basically showed us like the exterior of the truck, but it didn't actually go over anything on the truck. So first off, from the exterior, from what we could see from the video, let's talk about that. And I was kind of torn on the exterior of the new Raptor, to be honest. I've talked to quite a few people about this where I was like, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna really like the look of it because the Gen 2 Raptor pretty much for the longest time has been the best looking truck on the market. If you ask pretty much anyone whether or not they like the Raptor, if you go, hey, you know, completely objectively, is the Gen 2 Raptor pretty much the best looking truck on the market? And most people go, yeah, it's a really good looking truck. Now, with this Gen 3 Raptor, obviously it takes all of the exterior aesthetics from the new F-150 and then Raptorizes them. So you get the wide body, you get the giant Ford grille and the Ford logo on the back and all that kind of stuff. And because of how they've changed the new F-150, the front end definitely looks boxier compared to this Gen 2 Raptor. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna like that because I'm really not a fan of boxy trucks. I like boxy SUVs like the Wrangler and the Bronco, but on the truck side of thing, I don't really like boxy trucks. I prefer the trucks to be a little bit sleeker. That's why I love the look of the new TRX, and we'll get into that later in the video. But it actually didn't look as bad as I thought. Like seeing it in motion and in the video, it actually looked a lot better. They kind of really made the design work. And the thing about the new F-150 is it doesn't look good in videos and it doesn't look good in pictures, but in person it looks really good. And so even though it's not photogenic, like when you see one in person, it has a really nice road presence. And from the outside, I think the Raptor is gonna be the exact same. It's not really gonna look that great in pictures, but in person it's gonna have really good road presence, and it's just gonna be a good looking truck in person. We can see it in all of its glory and all the proportions and everything. So from the outside, I was a little bit skeptical, but actually seeing it, I think it looks really good, and that's the outside. Popping to the inside of the new Raptor, again, we didn't get a whole lot of details. We got to see a little bit in the video, but here's what's going to happen, right? Ford's going to put all of their new equipment in the Raptor, so their bigger infotainment system that you guys have seen in my reviews on like the F-150 Limited and the Platinum and the Lariat, and then the digital gauge cluster, I'm sure that'll be in the Raptor as well, but they'll probably make it a little bit more Raptor-esque, right? They'll probably add some Raptor logos and change the font so it's a little bit more aggressive, but the new interior that you see in the F-150s, that's going to be carried over to the Raptor. Now, are they going to put the limited interior in the Raptor? I'm not exactly sure. Here's what I think is going to happen, but we'll actually see what happens. So I think they're going to do what they did with the Gen 2 Raptor, where right now I'm in a Gen 2 Raptor. If you guys can't tell by the seats, where they basically put the Lariat interior into the Raptor and then they gave you custom seats, but this is basically a Lariat F-150 in the Raptor from an interior perspective. I think that's what they're gonna do with the baseline Raptor again, is they'll probably have like the lower down package you can get for the interior, but then the higher up package for the EcoBoost Raptor, again, their baseline Raptor that they're releasing in the summer, I think it's gonna be the Lariat interior. So again, guys, go watch my review on the new F-150 Lariat. I think that's the interior you're gonna see on the Raptor. The only difference is, again, for the Raptor, it'll be all blacked out, and maybe they'll do a custom color like they did with this Gen 2 Raptor, where you could get the Recaro package where it had like the blue interior accents, but I think the majority of people are gonna order basically the black on black with that, and that's what I think the interior is gonna be. So new F-150 interior, and I think it's gonna be built off the Lariat interior for the base Raptor. But let's get into the Raptor R for the interior. Let's get into the Raptor R. So with the Raptor R, I think they're gonna do the interior from the Limited. However, they're gonna have it all blacked out. They're not gonna have like the weird white with the blue, which I love the look of it, but I mean, that doesn't make sense in a Raptor. I think that's what they're gonna do. Again, to compete against the TRX, they have to compete against it on all levels, so they have to have a nicer interior, and it makes sense. If it's gonna be the more expensive truck, it better have the more expensive interior. So I think they'll do like the nice leather on the dash, and they won't have like the wood trim and everything. They'll probably do just like the carbon fiber accents where there's wood on the truck. But that's what I think they're gonna do from an interior perspective with the dash and the door panels and all that. From the seats, I think, again, it'll be like the baseline Raptor, where in the baseline Raptor for the Gen 2s, you could get the normal like Lariat leather seats that obviously have the bigger bolsters because it's the Raptor, or you could get these Recaro seats. I think it's gonna be the same thing with the Raptor R, where you'll have like the baseline leather seats. It'll be nicer leather seats, but you could probably pay extra for like an interior package where you get a little bit different colors, and then also probably like some sort of Recaro seat. That's my guess. We'll see what actually ends up happening, but that's at least what I think with the interior on the Raptor R. And then again, just like the Limited, it'll have all the cool tech. So you get the cool 360 camera, you'll get the automatic tailgate that goes up and down, you'll get the bigger, you know, digital readout on the display, but again, Raptorized. So I think that's what it'll look like for the Raptor R on the interior. And I didn't really mention the exterior on the Raptor R. I don't think they're gonna change a whole lot from the exterior. I think that there will be like badges to let you know that it has the V8, but I think that it'll still have the same wide body package. It'll have the same looks. It'll just basically be, again, the base model Raptor, but probably have like a badge that says like 5.2 liter supercharger, or whatever engine they end up putting into it. It'll have like the supercharged badges, but I think that it'll pretty much look the same as other Raptors. Maybe a little bit different with the front end because you need more air for that big V8, but other than that, it'll probably look pretty similar. Now this is the part that has me the most excited, and this has to do with the performance for the new Raptor. So again, they didn't mention much in the video, so this is going to be based off of what I've read from car magazines and a little bit of guesswork on my behalf. So let's just basically get into it with a performance standpoint. So from everything that I've read, it sounds like they're going to be going to a coil link suspension in the rear for the Raptor. Right now, if you guys don't know, the Gen 2s have leaf springs, which this truck rides really good, but it doesn't ride as good as a truck with coil link suspension. And so it sounds like they're going to change that in the rear. And then also they're going to basically do bigger bypass shocks, which is going to be awesome because then it's going to be more capable from a jumping perspective. And then also when you are going off-road, then it'll just feel even better when you're going over bumps and everything, and it's just doing that crazy Baja driving that the Raptor's meant to be doing. So from a suspension standpoint, it sounds like they're actually going to be making the suspension better. So the truck's going to ride smoother, it'll handle better, or it'll have better turn in, like everything will be better. So the truck will not only be more daily drivable, but it's going to be more capable on the off-road. And then apparently they're also going to offer 37-inch tires as an option, which a lot of people that buy Raptors, they go and get 37-inch tires anyways, and so then this will be a factory option so that you don't have to, you know, take the base tires and then go and buy new tires as soon as you buy the truck. So I think that's another cool thing that Ford is doing for Raptor customers, is offering those 37-inch tires. Now, from the engine and transmission standpoint, here's what I think's gonna happen, but this is where things are a little bit muddied and you're hearing things all over the place. So for the base Raptor, I still think they're going to do an EcoBoost, and I think that's really smart. And I'm going to get into why that's really smart when I actually compare the Raptor to the TRX at the end of today's video. But they're going to do the EcoBoost still. Now, are they going to do the Power Boost, or are they going to basically take the Raptor engine from the Gen 2s and just tune it up, increase the power? I'm not sure. Either way would work, but I think that if they're going to do the Power Boost, they still have to tune the Power Boost, because the Power Boost only produces 430 horsepower. And I know that most people are like, well, that's more than enough power, and it has way more torque than the Gen 2 Raptors. However, it's going to be a hard sell to be like, oh, by the way, this new Raptor is going to be a couple $1,000s more than your Gen 2, but it's also going to have less horsepower. Like, even if the acceleration is better, even if the 0 to 60 is better, even if the top speed's higher, people buy horsepower. So Ford's going to have to increase the horsepower of the Power Boost. So what I think it could look like is like a 500 horsepower Power Boost for the base engine. And then the torque, they'll probably keep the same. It'll still be around, you know, 600. I bet maybe they'll bump it up to like 600 so they can say that the base Raptor has 600 pound-feet of torque. That's my guess, is it'll probably be the power boost, so you get like a hybrid Raptor, and I think that'll be pretty cool. Or if they go the other route, I think that they'll just like conservatively tune the current 3.5 liter EcoBoost that you can get in the Gen 2 Raptors, and I still think they'd bump it up to 500 horsepower, and then the torque maybe like 550, maybe a little bit more. But I'm guessing that because they want to like sell people on this power boost concept, I'm guessing that they're going to really push the power boost in their whole lineup, kind of like what they did with the EcoBoost and why they put it in the Raptor. I think they're going to put the power boost in the baseline Raptor. But now let's get into the Raptor R. For the Raptor R, what I think that they're going to do most likely is just put the GT500 engine into the Raptor. I think that makes the most sense because, one, they already have that engine completely developed, and all they have to do is just plop it into the Raptor and make sure the Raptor's suspension and everything can handle the power, and they don't have to build out a whole new engine. It's pretty expensive to engineer a new engine, and that one makes the most sense also because it'll compete against the TRX. It actually has more power than the Hellcat engine that you have in the TRX. So in the Shelby GT500 Mustang, it's 760 horsepower, which is more than the 702 horsepower that you get in the TRX. That's what I think they're going to do. I think that, again, and they said coming in 2022, I think that they still have a lot of development time with that truck, and why they are basically going to release that at a later date, because there's a lot of stuff you have to do to be able to release a 700 horsepower truck onto the market. Obviously, fuel economy is a huge issue. I mean, the TRX gets 10 miles per gallon around town and 14 on the highway, and so that is kind of like a thing that they have to kind of tweak and everything. But the bigger issue with that is just making sure the truck can handle the power. When you have 760 horsepower, you're gonna break axles. It's like stuff is just gonna break. And so they have to make sure everything is just really overbuilt so that when you're flooring it, when you're jumping it, when you're off-roading it, that the truck doesn't fall apart. And so I think there's a lot more development that has to go into the Raptor R, but that's what I'm guessing from a performance standpoint, is it's gonna have the supercharged 5.2 liter V8, and I think that it's going to have a little bit different setup from an axle perspective, and then the suspension as well, just to handle the extra power. And now this will get me into which Raptor you should buy. I'll be making a lot of comparisons to the TRX to basically explain to you guys whether or not you should buy the new Raptor. And first off, the TRX changed the truck market because it is really the first super truck. So the Raptor was the first sports truck you could buy. It's fast, you can take it off-road, you can daily drive it, does everything well. There's never a truck in the past that was built that was like that. You had like the SRT-10 and you had like the Ford Lightning that were fast street trucks, but you couldn't jump them and take them off-road like the Raptor. The TRX fundamentally changed things because it's a big supercharged V8 from the factory, full warranty. You can jump it 0 to 60 under 4 seconds. Like some publications have recorded at 3.7 seconds. Like, it's a crazy fast truck. Again, I feel like the TRX is the first true super truck. And that's how Ram changed the truck market. Now, with the new Raptor, it's going to be an answer to the TRX. And here's what I think is going to happen is Ford just never lets themselves get beat. So that's why they're changing the suspension to make the new Raptor ride smoother so it can compete with the TRX from a ride quality standpoint. I think that's why they'll put the limited interior in the new Raptor so it can compete with the TRX from an interior standpoint, not only technologically, but also interior materials. And then on top of that, that's why they're going to put the 5.2 liter supercharged V8 so that it can compete with it from an acceleration and performance standpoint. They're doing everything so it can compete with it, but Ford, in their nature of not being able to be beat by any other manufacturer, I think they're just going to up things, right? So it'll have more power. They'll just have the same interior from the regular F-150, so from an interior standpoint, I think that one's going to be a little bit up to personal preference. I don't mind the new Ford interior. It doesn't have as much leather and nice trim as the new Ram interiors, but it's still a nice interior to be in. So that one will kind of be up for debate. But everything performance-wise, I think Ford's just going to beat Ram. They're going to make sure it has more ground clearance. They're going to make sure you can jump it further. They're going to make sure the shocks are better. They're going to make sure that the handling's better. Like, I think everything that the TRX is, they're going to make sure that this new Raptor with the supercharged V8 is going to be just, you know, a little bit more. Maybe it's going to be a lot more. We'll see exactly what Ford comes out with, but I think that's Ford's plan. Now, you as a consumer, well, what should you do now? Should you buy the TRX? Should you wait for the 5.2 liter V8 Raptor, or should you buy the EcoBoost Raptor? Now, this really just depends on what you want. So the TRX is the truck that you can buy right now. You can go, well, it's kind of hard because most of the trucks are spoken for, but if you can find a dealership that still has an allocation, you can buy that truck right now. So if you want a truck right now, the TRX is the only truck that you can get out of these 3 options, and it's amazing. And as like an on-road truck, it is absolutely perfect. It's super smooth on road. It has great acceleration. And the reason I'm mentioning the on-road capability so much is, sadly, most of the people that buy these trucks never take them off-road. And so if you're looking for a great on-road truck, then the TRX is amazing. Really nice interior, great tech, rides really nice. But from an off-roading perspective, and again, I'll have to see this when I take my TRX off-road, I think it's gonna fall short because of how heavy the truck is. And I think that's gonna be the same case for the 5.2 liter V8 Raptor. Now, this Raptor will probably weigh a little bit less than the TRX, but you're still gonna have a massive V8 in the front end. It's still gonna be really heavy, and it's gonna run the off-road capability to an extent. Yes, you'll be able to accelerate faster than an EcoBoost Raptor, but with all that extra weight, jumping, it's gonna be harder, because if you guys don't know, when you jump a truck, you want to try to keep the front end up a little bit. You don't have that front end, you don't have the front end dip. And so if you have more weight over the front end, it's gonna make it even more challenging to keep that front end up versus dipping down. And that's why I think that the EcoBoost Raptor is still gonna be like the off-road purist Raptor, or off-road purist driving truck, if that makes sense. Like, if you want the best truck on the off-road that's like a Baja truck, I still think the EcoBoost Raptor is gonna be that truck, because it's gonna have the lighter front end. It's going to still have all the capability from a suspension standpoint. The acceleration is more than enough. Like, I have never been in an off-roading situation with my Gen 2 Raptor where I've been like, man, I really need more power. This truck is not fast enough. Usually I get in a situation where I'm like, oh my God, I got up to speed way quicker than I thought I would have. I need to slow down a little bit. Like, that's what happens. And so you add another 250, 300 horsepower to the equation, and things get a little bit ridiculous. It's just gonna be too much power for the off-road. And so here's what I'd say as a buyer. If you want a truck now, TRX. If you want the truck that's most likely gonna be the most capable overall, then the Raptor is probably gonna have a better off-road capability. But if you're really looking for like off-road capability, then get the EcoBoost Raptor, because the lighter front end and everything that's associated with that truck, again, just from a weight perspective, is going to make it better off-road, and it's more than enough power. It's more than enough power to do rock crawling, to do the Baja driving, to do the jumping, everything. It's more than enough power, so that's the truck to get. But if you are like most people that buy Raptors, and now the TRX, sadly, and you're never gonna take it off-road, then get the 5.2 liter V8 or get the TRX, because in that case, well, the truck is the best truck on road. It's got crazy acceleration. It looks really cool. It's a cool status symbol. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Now, that is gonna sum things up for today's video. Sorry, this video was a little bit longer, but there is so much stuff to go over. Like, I could literally make probably an hour-long video talking about the trucks. So yeah, that's kind of like our initial insight. And then once the trucks come out, just like normal, I'll review all of them. And then once I get my TRX, I'll take it off-road. And you know, in terms of getting the new Raptor or not, I'm probably not gonna get the base model EcoBoost Raptor, because I've already owned a Gen 2 Raptor with the EcoBoost. I absolutely love it. I know the new one will be a little bit more capable, a little bit better, but for YouTube purposes, I would either keep the TRX or I'd get the 5.2 liter V8. And again, if I didn't do YouTube, I would get the EcoBoost Raptor, because I think that one's gonna be the best off-roading truck, and I'm kind of like an off-roading purist. But since I do YouTube, I've gotta get the big bad boy V8 trucks, because those are the ones that get views. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.